My wife engaged in an affair with her boss, proposed that we explore an open marriage, and then reconsidered when I began dating someone else. To be honest, I never imagined I would find myself seeking guidance from unfamiliar faces online, yet here I am, Athena, and I have shared 14 years together, with 12 of those as a married couple. We crossed paths in college and were each other's first experiences, and for a significant period, we have been inseparable. I believe that it gave our connection a unique quality, something genuinely exceptional and lovely. It seems I may have been the sole individual with that sentiment. Some time ago, Athena embarked on a new professional journey. Initially, she found it challenging to find her place. She has consistently leaned towards a more reserved demeanor. However, with a little nudge from me, she found her way into a circle of women and forged new friendships. Some were unattached, some had ended previous relationships, and some were exploring new connections, but none were in a marital commitment. Initially, I felt pleased that she was forming friendships, but then the situation began to change. She started venturing out more often, enjoying drinks, parties, or whatever her friends had in store. I observed the shift and attempted to discuss it with her, yet I was cautious not to come across as overbearing. This fresh way of living started to infiltrate our connection, particularly in the intimate space we share. Athena had never been the type to take the lead in matters of intimacy, but at this moment, she felt either utterly exhausted or simply disinterested. Not long after, a new manager joined her company, and soon enough, she and her friends were enthusiastically discussing him. Initially, she would refer to him in a nonchalant manner, but before long, he became a frequent topic of conversation, with her highlighting the way he managed circumstances that appeared unrelated to work. I couldn't overlook her intrigue with this guy, so I inquired about it. She dismissed me, claiming it was insignificant. Then she began inquiring whether I ever felt remorse for not having explored more relationships with other women. I declined her request. I truly meant it, as she has always been more than sufficient for me. For a moment, I believed I glimpsed sorrow in her gaze. However, she swiftly shifted the topic. Before long, she began discussing open marriages as a means to add some excitement. I was utterly astonished. This was not the person I recognized. She was never one to indulge in such notions. I inquired whether it was related to her manager, but she refuted it, expressing that she felt she had missed an opportunity and didn't want to let me go. She perceived it as a more secure choice. I cautioned her that we were treading on dangerous ground, yet ultimately, I relented. In my innocence, I consented. We established a few fundamental guidelines, primarily that we would refrain from inviting anyone into our residence. Over the course of the next year, Athena explored the dating scene, indulged in fleeting encounters, and, as I had anticipated, found herself in a relationship with her manager. In the meantime, I went on a few dates, yet I found it difficult to engage in a one-night stand. It simply seemed off. Megan would reach out to see if I was all right, yet her behavior remained unchanged. At last, a transformation occurred within me. The once pure and innocent love I had for her had vanished, and it was breaking me inside. After that, I encountered someone. She was an extraordinary woman from Taiwan, and conversing with her felt completely natural. Her sharp wit and captivating smile had the power to make the world fade away. One date flowed into the next, and before I realized it, we found ourselves in a moment of intimacy. It was an experience unlike any other I had encountered. She ignited a sense of desire within me that I never imagined could exist. Initially, Athena found my new relationship entertaining, but as time passed, she started to have doubts about it. I gently reminded her that this entire situation was her concept and noted that she remained entangled with her manager. Her reply was rather limited. She appeared as though she had something to say, yet restrained herself. Suddenly, her demeanor shifted. She began returning home earlier to prepare dinner and maintained a pristine house. She started bringing lunch to my workplace and took the lead in fostering intimacy like never before. In an ordinary situation, I would have felt elated, but considering all that had transpired, I struggled to even pretend to engage. When I finally did it, it was merely to put an end to it. A part of me had withered away, and I sensed she was aware of it as well. I finally inquired about the reason behind this unexpected shift, and she revealed that she wished to express the depth of her love for me and the joy she feels in our relationship. I couldn't contain my laughter. The response wasn't what I had envisioned, yet it simply emerged. I inquired about her circle of companions, her brief romance with the manager, and her encounters of a fleeting nature. Not a single word escaped her lips. Instead, she lay down to sleep, her eyes brimming with tears. The following evening, I returned home to discover her waiting for me. She expressed her desire to end our marriage, claiming that it had been a grave error from the start. She confessed her regrets and expressed a desire for us to concentrate entirely on one another once more. I expressed to her the importance of honesty in our conversation. What had ignited this in the beginning? It appears that everything began with her companions. They exchanged tales of their adventures, urging her to venture out. And when her manager entered the scene, he championed that way of life as well. He urged her to embrace freedom, and she truly embraced that sentiment. It started as an emotional connection, she admitted, but it turned physical when we opened the marriage, as if that somehow diminished the pain. She portrayed the experience as akin to navigating a fast-moving vehicle while under the influence. Exciting and captivating, yet ultimately catastrophic. At this moment, she expresses that the burden of her decisions feels overwhelming. She understood that there was no need to measure our bond against anything else. What we shared was one of a kind and extraordinary. But now, she believes she has shattered our marriage and any possibility of a future together. I expressed to her my uncertainty about ever viewing her as my wife again. That shattered her. She fell into a heap of tears, and I simply embraced her in quietude until she wept herself into slumber in my arms on the couch. Since that moment, she has left her job, severed ties with her friends and the manager, and expressed her commitment to dedicating her life to demonstrating her love for me. She expressed her determination to do everything necessary to reclaim the title of my wife. However, let me point this out. I have not severed ties with my lover. Her presence ignites a spark within me, empowering me to face any challenge that comes my way. Athena hasn't evoked those feelings in me for quite a while. To be honest, I'm at a loss for what to do. A part of me longs to rekindle that unique bond with Athena, yet my partner rescued me from a shadowy time when I needed it the most. To add to the complexity, our first marriage counseling session is just a few hours away. I'm uncertain about the outcome, yet I consented to it in pursuit of understanding. At this moment, I find myself in a state of uncertainty, grappling with what feels right and what I truly desire. To provide some background, here are a few details I overlooked earlier. My partner isn't wed, yet she is aware of my open marriage. The purpose of this marriage remains uncertain to me. I have deep feelings for Athena, yet I find it hard to place my trust in her. Simultaneously, our past holds me back from completely releasing my grip. Seeking guidance is my way of searching for clarity and making a thoughtful decision. Initially, I had no intention of looking at Athena's phone. The mere idea of encountering images or messages that would cement the sense of betrayal in my thoughts was unbearable. It was already difficult enough to envision it. This morning, yet another event unfolded. Once I stepped out of the shower, I discovered Athena clutching my phone, shaking as she absorbed a message from my lover. Neither of us uttered a sound. I simply took the phone from her. The note read, "Good morning, handsome. I wore your t-shirt to bed last night, longing for the comfort of falling asleep and waking up in your embrace. The morning feels incomplete without the warmth of your kiss to begin it." It seems that really affected her deeply. She has followed me closely all day, even while I was out for my jog. She has never joined me for a jog, not a single time throughout our whole relationship. It feels like a dream. For what it's worth, I encountered my lover during one of Athena's outings. I had just exited a bookshop that had become my refuge, a place where I spent countless evenings to find solace from the world outside. That night, I witnessed her being accosted by a short, stocky man who seized her arm and spun her around with force. I entered without a second thought. I've practiced a little judo, nothing too elaborate, but it was sufficient to hold him down and inadvertently dislocate his wrist. The individual bothering her was, in fact, someone she had previously reported for inappropriate behavior, and he was not pleased about being dismissed for it. Following the incident, she was adamant about treating me to a coffee as a gesture of gratitude, and I acquiesced. Initially, upon discovering the details of my open marriage, she showed some reluctance. She expressed her strong desire to avoid being seen as a homewrecker. However, after I laid out the complete picture of Athena's actions, she chose to embrace a more reckless approach. Reflecting on it now, I frequently find humor in the tale. It feels as though I possess two distinct narratives to share with the grandkids someday. Either I can claim that I rescued your grandmother from a rogue and she fell into my embrace, or I can admit that she spent a year exploring life while I, like a fool, stood by and accepted it all. Revision 1. We attended our initial counseling session, and the therapist appeared competent, professional, impartial, and truly invested in assisting us. Despite it being merely the initial session, Athena chose to reveal all her thoughts. She confessed that her circle of friends left her questioning whether she had overlooked certain experiences in life. Her dedication to her first boyfriend, which was me, meant she missed out on the kinds of experiences that other women often boasted about. These women, just so you know, are either divorced or casually dating, not in marriage. The therapist highlighted how these influences might negatively impact a marriage due to the stark contrast in perspectives. Megan consented and elaborated that when her new manager began reaching out to her, a few of her friends urged her to seize the opportunity, suggesting it was her moment to uncover her true self. She admitted that remorse restrained her initially, preventing her from taking any action. However, one of her divorced friends proposed the idea of an open marriage as a workaround, asserting that it might even enhance the connection between partners. Megan embraced that notion, and after persuading me to open our marriage, her so-called adventure commenced. She portrayed it as exhilarating and dazzling, yet ultimately devoid of substance. It lacked the genuine bond we had cultivated throughout the years. Initially, she convinced herself it was merely an exhilarating new adventure. She expressed that she would never be able to forgive herself for this, particularly since she could see the anguish in my eyes and opted to overlook it. She remarked that the true impact of her actions didn't completely resonate until she observed the transformation in me. At first, she thought I would eventually change my mind, particularly because I was also going out on dates. But everything transformed when my partner became an integral part of my existence. She remarked that I began to smile without any apparent cause, my eyes would sparkle at the arrival of a message, and I would exit the room with a buoyant spirit to answer a call. At that moment, a heaviness settled in her gut. She even experienced brief moments of panic. She sought counsel from her friends, yet they dismissed her concerns, claiming it was typical for her to respond this way during the journey. The same divorced friend who proposed the open marriage eventually shared something that struck a deep chord. It seems that his partner brings him joy. In that instant, Athena understood the weight of her actions. The thought that another woman, rather than herself, was the wellspring of my joy nearly brought her to her knees. She pleaded with her friends for guidance on how to win me back, but they turned against her, questioning why she had opened her marriage in the first place if she couldn't manage the fallout. In that moment, she recognized her friends for who they truly were, harmful and a threat to our marriage. Since that moment, she has embarked on a quest to reclaim my heart, striving to repair the rift by whatever means she can muster. I didn't reveal much during the session, but I did mention to the counselor that my partner is still involved in my life. The counselor emphasized that a resolution was unattainable unless I concluded that relationship. She proposed that we schedule another session in a few days. The counselor noted that remaining with one's first partner for such an extended period is uncommon yet not unattainable, suggesting that we might navigate through this challenge together. Honestly, I have a feeling she hopes we become one of her triumphs. When I express that my partner makes me feel like a man, this is what I truly mean. After a challenging day, I don't return to a chilling lack of warmth. Instead, I am embraced with a comforting hug and met by someone who truly pays attention. When my doubts emerge, she comforts me with the belief that I can face anything that comes my way. And here's the section that may come across as somewhat traditional, perhaps even outdated, so I apologize beforehand. She allows me to embrace my role as the strong partner in our relationship. In her view, the differences between men and women serve to enhance one another. She holds the view that women thrive in domains where men often fall short, such as nurturing and compassion. She mentioned that it's a Korean saying or proverb, something along the lines of a gentle heart having the power to soothe even the fiercest volcano. In her perspective, the bedroom is her realm, a space to maintain the thrill. Yet she always respects my autonomy and never undermines me in any way. She truly thinks that men require less than women. And when those needs are fulfilled, a man would conquer dragons for his beloved. To clarify, she advocates for equality, equal pay, and mutual respect, but not to the extremes that are often observed these days. Once more, perhaps this stems from her cultural background, yet I find it quite refreshing. As I mentioned, my partner makes me feel truly masculine. I gather you're located in the West, and here's the matter at hand. Not many women around here will eagerly take on this task for you. I'm referring to perhaps 1% of the most desirable women, and against the odds, I've managed to discover one. Having encountered numerous women who failed to offer this, I recognize how uncommon it truly is. Now let's turn our attention to Athena. She possessed all that her heart desired: a devoted partner, a sense of security, and a solid bond. Yet, she allows an outsider to murmur in her ear, persuading her that she was lacking something essential. An outsider presented her with a list of justifications to push aside the one individual who cherished her without reservation, while urging her to expose her heart to someone who showed no interest in her at all. He merely sought what he could seize. Now I must ponder, am I transforming into someone like Athena? Am I really going to leave a woman who loves me completely for someone I'm holding on to due to our past together? Am I releasing someone who views me as her entire universe, merely to pursue the echoes of who my wife once was? If I pursue Athena's route, I risk losing both women. The person who brings vitality to my life now and the one I've shared my life with for many years. A partner like my beloved, someone who empowers a man to embrace his masculinity, is truly exceptional and sought after. If she slips away from me, I'll find myself right back in this wretched spot, unable to escape. I would like to express my gratitude to all who took the time to connect. I appreciate each and every one of you, and while I can't respond to everyone individually, your support truly means the world to me. This is the current situation. It's been a chaotic journey, reminiscent of a dramatic episode of a talk show. I have taken up residence in a flat that belongs to my brother. He offered to let me stay without paying rent, but I was determined to contribute something, even if it was merely a symbolic amount. As I sifted through the materials, I discovered deeper insights into Athena's behavior and some troubling information regarding her manager. In our second counseling session, I raised a question that had been suggested by several individuals. Was she completely certain that nothing physical occurred before we opened the marriage? Initially, she couldn't bear to meet my gaze. She pleaded with me not to push her, claiming that if she confessed, it would ruin everything for us. I pressed on regardless. Ultimately, she succumbed to the truth and confessed that, although it wasn't strictly physical, they had engaged in self-exploration in each other's presence. It seems this individual persuaded her that since there was no physical contact, it didn't count as cheating. He acknowledged it, cherishing the allure they both possessed. I was utterly astonished. It was hard to wrap my mind around the words being spoken. The counselor appeared taken aback, her expression a mask of astonishment. Megan fell apart completely after that. She began to tremble, breath quickening, and weeping without restraint. Clear fluid streamed from her nose as she repeatedly offered her apologies. She knelt before me, wrapped her arms around my legs, and wept, expressing her deep remorse. It was an incredibly heart-wrenching moment in my life. Continued, I inquired with Athena about what shifted her view on the manager, and her response took me by surprise. She described how, as she began to pull away from the group, his demeanor towards her changed. One evening, as she exited a meeting, she walked past his office and caught snippets of his conversation with another male colleague, discussing her. He expressed his astonishment at how effortlessly he had managed to win her over, playfully remarking that she was evidence of the unpredictability of those who seem reserved. When the colleague inquired whether he truly had feelings for her, his reply was chillingly indifferent. She was merely a delightful diversion. He expressed unequivocally that he had no plans to end his engagement, noting that this was merely a means for him to release some pent-up feelings. He even mentioned that the only woman who genuinely understood him was his fiancée, expressing sympathy for my situation, but ultimately, it was a case of you snooze, you lose. The news shattered her. She came to understand that she had been insignificant to him, merely a passing distraction for his entertainment, and the burden of her betrayal crashed down on her in an instant. She recounted how she exited the office, headed directly to the parking lot, and lost her lunch. Her initial reflections, she remarked, were, "What have I done? And my identity? I humbly ask for your forgiveness. I deeply apologize." I proceeded to pose the questions that had been lingering in my mind. Did you truly care for him? And when did you cease to love me? With tears streaming down her face, she locked eyes with me and confessed that her love for me had never faded. That simply exacerbated the situation. She confessed that she once believed her feelings for him were love, but now recognizes the folly of her thoughts. She claimed he was merely a novelty, an exhilarating distraction in the moment, yet it could never hold a candle to what we shared. She gripped my arm with surprising intensity and confessed that she missed us. The bond we once shared. She even proposed that we leave everything behind and begin anew, just the two of us, as if none of this had ever occurred. I explained to her that it wouldn't be just to my partner, and that I required some distance to sort through my feelings. That ignited her emotions. She fell apart entirely, weeping uncontrollably, struggling to form words, gripping me tightly as if I might disappear at any moment. Both the counselor and I spent a considerable amount of time soothing her. The counselor ultimately persuaded her that some distance could aid in our healing process. Regrettably, I can't conclude the update just yet. The situation has become more intricate. While I was preparing to depart, Athena got a video call on her laptop. There stood a once familiar face, now a stranger, weeping uncontrollably. It seems that following Athena's resignation, this friend and the manager embarked on their own romantic adventure. The situation shifted dramatically when she faced a pregnancy scare, revealing his genuine character. He claimed she was attempting to ensnare him with a child, and he transformed into someone entirely unrecognizable. Similar to the tale of Dr. Jack and Mr. Leo. To complicate matters further, she was in a relationship with someone she genuinely envisioned a future alongside. Her involvement with the manager stemmed solely from a sense of curiosity. It seems that this is a common motif among these women. Her partner uncovered the secret after stumbling upon an email exchanged between her and the manager, where they talked about the possibility of a pregnancy. Of course, he departed from her life. She contacted Athena, seeking guidance, believing that my wife had somehow found a way to salvage our marriage. I was unable to endure it. I simply turned and walked away, stepping into the flat that belongs to my brother. I have been residing there ever since. Update 3. Firstly, I want to express my gratitude to all who took the time to offer advice, share their own experiences, or simply listen. It signifies more than words can express. A lot has transpired since my previous update. The friend who experienced the pregnancy scare has confirmed that she is indeed pregnant. Regrettably, the overwhelming pressure of losing her boyfriend, coupled with the embarrassment from the affair, led to her miscarriage. Following that, she utterly unraveled and unleashed a fierce onslaught on the manager. She revealed his actions to upper management and his fiancé, shattering his entire existence. Intrigued, I decided to search for his fiancé on Facebook. She defies all expectations in every way imaginable. Her profile paints a picture of the ideal small-town girl, a dedicated special needs teacher, deeply family-oriented, and someone who enjoys the comforts of home. She's the type of woman you'd imagine he'd never wish to harm. And so, we find ourselves in this moment. My initial reaction upon viewing his fiancé's profile was, why on earth is he engaging with other women when he has her waiting at home? Honestly, the pairing of men like him with women like her remains one of life's most perplexing enigmas. Shortly thereafter, I received a message from Athena's ex-friend. She sought my perspective on the matter, as she was compiling information regarding the manager, and she favored an in-person discussion. She promised me that she had taken a COVID test, just like I had, so I consented. Upon seeing her, it was clear that she was completely shattered. The shadows beneath her eyes and the irritation within them revealed a restless spirit, burdened by the weight of past events that lingered in her mind. She expressed her gratitude for our meeting and quickly offered an apology for her involvement in what she referred to as Athena's adventure. She informed me that she had a conversation with my wife once more and discovered that I had relocated. She accepted responsibility without attempting to deflect or justify her actions. Instead, she expressed her desire to take full responsibility, which was the reason she insisted on a face-to-face meeting. I expressed my gratitude for her candor but inquired about her motivations for going to such extremes. She conveyed that the loss of both her child and her beloved had profoundly transformed her. She expressed that she couldn't bear to gaze into the mirror without a wave of revulsion washing over her, and whenever she shut her eyes, her ex-boyfriend's face haunted her thoughts, capturing the instant he discovered the betrayal. This meeting appeared to serve as a form of self-punishment for her. She informed me that their workplace relationship breached company policy, particularly due to the manager's influential role, which would likely result in his termination and potentially lead to him being blacklisted from the industry entirely. Nevertheless, she recognized that she could encounter similar repercussions and had come to terms with it. Once I shared my viewpoint, she offered another apology and took her leave. I needed to grab a few items from the house, so I selected a time when I believed Athena would be out. Regrettably, she was present. I was taken aback to find her sitting at the coffee table, surrounded by a collection of our wedding photos and others, lost in thought as she gazed at them. Upon her gaze meeting mine, it was evident that tears had stained her cheeks. She attempted to embrace me, but I softly moved her away. She extended an invitation for lunch, yet I politely declined, explaining that I wasn't feeling hungry and that my visit would be brief. Just as I was about to take what I needed, she interrupted, claiming she had something to reveal to me. She retrieved her phone and displayed a message from her previous manager. It came from a different number, as she had already blocked his previous one. In the message, he scolded her, seething with anger because she had assisted her former friend in revealing his actions to his fiancé and upper management. Megan shared that her inspiration came from online advice platforms such as Chump Lady and Marriage Builders. She believed that by revealing the truth, she was stripping it of its power and offering us a chance to fight back. I expressed my admiration for her bravery in taking that step, yet it didn't alter the dynamics of our relationship. I informed her that I would be discontinuing marriage counseling, but I intended to pursue individual counseling moving forward. She started to weep gently and expressed her understanding. Honestly, I feel a sense of numbness. I understand that I should be feeling either relief over her taking action or frustration about the delay, yet I find myself experiencing a lack of strong emotions. That's part of why I want to focus on individual counseling. I need to figure out what's going on inside me. On my brother's advice, I've also spoken to a divorce lawyer, just to be prepared. Right now, I'm not sure I want to fight for this marriage anymore, and it seems Athena can sense that. Before I left, she tried to initiate intimacy. When I refused, she snapped. She shouted, asking what my lover gave me that she couldn't. Her voice was so loud I'm sure the neighbors heard her. She said, "Whatever it is you want, I'll do it." I just shook my head and told her, "If you still don't know after everything that's happened, then it's clear where this marriage is headed." And then I left. This is where things stand for now. Once again, thank you all for your advice and support. It's been invaluable through this mess.